You've reached the CEO Hotline. This is Krystal Jugarap, business mentor, visibility strategist, community builder, and your new favorite person to have on speed dial. Because you and I both know you are done playing small. This line is for wildly ambitious women founders who are ready to stop winging it and start running their business like a true CEO. We're talking raw, unfiltered strategy, real case studies, and some seriously ceiling-shattering powerhouse CEOs dropping in on the line. So stay on, because this call, it's about to change your business. Don't hang up.
All right, you guys, it is happening. We are live. The podcast is back up and running. And this time we have a fun new rebrand to go along with it. Welcome to the CEO Hotline. I am so excited for this new iteration of the podcast. If you guys have tuned into the podcast before, we've gone through a couple of different seasons. One, when we were the Empowered by Women podcast, and we were really highlighting a lot of the women from our entrepreneurial community, which we've also since rebranded to Horolo. That's a combination of her and Rolodex. If you don't know what a Rolodex is, drop a comment so I can let you in on what a Rolodex is. I actually have one behind me. But our community is designed to bring more visibility, support, and connection to our fellow female founders. And that's really where the podcast stemmed from my own desire to create community, to build deeper connection with my fellow women founders. And from there, everything has just continued to grow and to be refined and to be more aligned. And the last iteration of this podcast was actually a 6-month series where I had just decided to leave my day job and go all in into entrepreneurship. So you really got a behind the scenes look of what it was that I was building and what it was like to leave my day job and to be full time in entrepreneurship and to still be a mom and to do all the things, because that year was really a wild journey. And entrepreneurship in general is just a wild journey. So I love chatting. I love yapping. I am so grateful for that initial podcast that started very casually, but really showed me the power of my voice, how much I love speaking, how much I love connecting with other women and incredible builders and innovators and leaders. And now we are still actively building the community. I am also supporting women one on one as their business mentor, as their visibility strategist, helping them get really clear on their offers, their messaging, how they're intentionally building their brand ecosystem, which you're going to hear quite a bit in this podcast. And also, how are they creating the most aligned visibility strategies for their businesses, for their products, their offers, so that they can see the momentum that they're truly craving to create and really support more people and ultimately build lives and businesses that they truly love. So let us talk about this rebrand. Why the CEO Hotline? First of all, with a rebrand with our community and going from Empowered by Women to Horolo, if you guys have never rebranded anything, it is a wild time. There were just constantly things every single day that needed to be updated. The links weren't working. This was outdated. This was old. This wasn't working every single day. And so I went to update my email signature, and our podcast was linked to my email signatures. And I said, okay, that's another thing that also needs to be updated. So really just on a whim, just because it needed to get updated, I said, I do know that I want to relaunch the podcast at some point. So let's see if we can come up with another name outside of the Empowered by Women podcast. And I used ChatGPT to just like throw some ideas my way. And out of like the 20 or 30 ideas that it sent my way, I don't know if it was the CEO Hotline specifically, but there was like a combination of those words somewhere. And I said, oh my gosh, that is so cute. I love that so much. I looked around, I Googled it, I looked on Instagram, I looked on TikTok to see if the CEO Hotline was taken anywhere, and it was not, you guys. And that blew my mind, because usually it's so hard to just be able to claim the name that you really want to claim. And because I am in this space of wanting to make sure that everything that we're doing with our business is more formalized, is legally structured, we have our very first registered trademark with a visibility concierge for the Horolo community. And so with that in the back of my mind, I said, okay, I am going to take everything that is the CEO Hotline, because it is currently not being claimed and this is officially my baby. And so I grabs the IG handle, I grabs the TikTok handle. I literally bought the domain. I updated everywhere and I'm so excited for it. And especially because this is something that I support my one-on-one clients with all the time in terms of how are you looking at your business truly as a CEO, not just a founder, not just an operator, but truly as a CEO. And we're going to dive into that in a little bit. But just know that this podcast, this is what's going to be sticking around. This is not another 6-month series. This is going to be a permanent, intentional podcast where we really dive deep and where I support you, my fellow women founders, my fellow entrepreneurs, leaders, activators, community builders, all the things to make sure that you are building your business with intention, with strategy, with revenue in mind, with growth in mind, with sustainability in mind. I am constantly talking to my clients about how are you really thinking long term when it comes to that new offer that you want to bring into the play, that you want to bring into your offer suite, into your brand ecosystem, that new opportunity that you really want to speak at, that you really want to be a part of. How does that all fit into the brand that you're building? So let's talk. Let's talk about what this distinction is between this CEO role and this founder role, and why we're going into the CEO hotline, why we want to step into more of this CEO mindset. And it really isn't just the mindset, it's kind of this culmination of all of these things. It is a mindset, 100%. Stepping into a CEO mindset versus a founder mindset, I think are completely different mindsets, but it's also the way that you operate, both in a day to day basis and long term. How are you creating the structure for yourself and how you're operating long term? And then also, how are you continuing to prioritize the things that you have on your plate? Because we as entrepreneurs have a running list of a million tasks to do every single day, and a founder might try to get everything done and might try to do the fun things, but a CEO knows where their time is best spent and is constantly reprioritizing. This is what needs to be done today. This is what needs to be done this week. Right. So we're going to be looking at that. And it's really not just one thing. We're going to be talking about all those things. We're going to be talking about mindset. We're going to be talking about how are you streamlining your operations a little bit more. We're going to be talking about different strategies that you can put in place to make sure you are only spending the time on the things that actually matter. But the important thing is that CEO, it's really not just a title. It is an operating system. It's a framework. And it's been interesting because I've seen on threads this kind of debate, or, like the spicy rage bait posts of, if you're just like a solopreneur and you're calling yourself a CEO, like, you don't have a business, or you're not a CEO, or why are you doing that? Because you don't deserve that title. I don't know, things like that. And it's been really interesting to watch and to read all of the comments. My take on it is you can absolutely be a solopreneur and be a CEO and claim that CEO title. But the sole fact of you having a business does not automatically make you CEO. Okay, this is where I stand. Because again, it is a mindset, it is a way of operating, and it is the way that you are able to prioritize what actually matters. There's more strategy involved with taking on a CEO title. Okay, so for those of you that know me, maybe you don't know me, I have the community. We have this beautiful community of 130 plus founders. And I also do the one-to-one business mentorship support. But then I also have a product line that I launched in 2021. It's definitely become a more of a back burner business for now. I'm slowly ramping that back up again. But when it comes to how I'm claiming the CEO title, I do claim that for Horolo. I feel like the CEO of Horolo because I'm operating in it in a very strategic way. For Book of Bijou, because it's been more of like almost this passion project, almost like this hobby business, I still feel like a founder there. There's not a lot of huge strategy, a lot of data that I'm really, really diving into on that front. So I don't claim the CEO title for Book of Bijou. I do not say founder and CEO of Book of Bijou in the titles when I share my bio with different people that are asking for my media kit, or when I'm introducing myself at different events. I say I'm the founder, I'm a 2-time founder. But for Harolo, yes, I am founder and CEO. So let's dive deeper into the distinction from my point of view. Founder is really, you are the visionary, right? You are the hustler. That energy is there, that fire is there, that drive is there. You are probably the face of the brand. You're very passion forward. You want to do all these things. You want to be around all these people. You want to be in all of these events, and you're constantly creating new ideas. And I think as entrepreneurs in general, we're constantly having these downloads for new ideas. But this is where the CEO mindset comes on top of it, because it really is the strategic layer on top of all of that beautiful founder energy. It's not a replacement. It's not interchangeable. They're two completely different roles. And so a founder is someone that has all these beautiful ideas, that wants to bring it to life and that wants to execute and that wants to be out there and build something incredible and has all of these shiny objects. But the CEO hat, once you put that on, that is what allows you to filter out those shiny objects. This is also something that I'm talking about with my clients all the time, because when they get new ideas, when they are thinking of maybe I should have this offer, oh, someone's asking about this, maybe I should create this. This is where your CEO energy needs to come in and start filtering that out. What actually makes sense for your ecosystem? What's not working? What is working? Why are you adding that in? How does it all fit together? How can we simplify instead of constantly expanding, instead of constantly adding new things, new offers, new products, new events, right? So it's kind of like this really interesting, like a juxtaposition of roles if you're claiming both. And not every founder, again, is operating like a CEO, even if they might be claiming that title. And I think we should be comfortable saying that out loud, because that kind of also self-awareness and honesty with ourselves is also very CEO energy, right? Where we're not just claiming all the things, we're getting really real, we're getting realistic here. We're actually looking at the data. We're actually looking at structure and like true definition and true like metrics and all of that, which the founder might not always be paying that much deep attention to. Okay. So we are going to be diving into all of the things. We're going to be diving into not just revenue numbers and how are you bringing more revenue and how are you bringing more leads in, but also what are your profit margins? Where is the data actually showing? What data are you even tracking? We're not going to be just talking about, like the best ways to stay productive, but how are you actually looking at your calendar and building more intentionality into it? How are you structuring it? How are you time blocking it? What tools are you using to help you time block so that you can be very intentional with your time? The founder, again, we want to do all of these things. We want to be out and about. We want to be able to just create content and be creative. And the CEO knows where they need to be at certain times of the day. They know what meetings need to be on the calendar because it is allocated for leadership development, for community engagement, for thinking about the big term, the big picture marketing strategy for the next 6 months, the next 12 months. It's really your long-term vision that is going to be driving your day-to-day decisions. And we don't want just the quick win. We don't want to just think about the next sale, the next client, the next month, the next quarter. We want to think about long-term, what are we building? Why are we building towards it? How are we going to make that vision feasible? And ultimately, as hard as it may be for us as entrepreneurs that constantly have all of these brilliant downloads and ideas, simplification is going to be your superpower as a CEO. And founders rarely think of simplify. We think big, we think expansive, we think more as founders. CEOs bring us right back to, okay, but what really matters in this moment? What are ultimately the key core things that we're building towards, and how do we stay focused on that? Okay. So, this podcast is going to be a combination of solo episodes where I'm going to be sharing some of the insights, some of the things that I'm working on, some key topics that I think are really, really important as you step more and more into the CEO role. These are probably going to be a little bit shorter episodes, which is something that I'm not used to. I used to do long episodes, long form content. We used to have guests all the time and we would ramble for at least 40 minutes. So these solo episodes will probably average around the 20-minute mark, if that. Then we're also going to be bringing live strategy sessions to the mix, which I'm really excited about. So, this is really where you get to be a part of coaching sessions in real time. We're going to bring on real founders navigating real challenges and actively builds towards it together of figuring out where are the gaps? How do we fill those gaps? How do we optimize the things that they're already working on? What can we start implementing? What kind of structures can we start implementing? What kind of systems do we put in place so that they can really maximize where their efforts are being allocated? And then, of course, this is called the CEO Hotline, meaning it can't just be me. It can't just be strategy sessions. We need to have some badass CEOs on here. So we're definitely going to be doing that. We're going to be calling on some of our incredible women in the network that are operating like true CEOs, that are building really incredible things. And we're going to bring them on the line too. And we are going to do it a little bit differently where it's still not quite just a general overview of saying all of the same things that you've probably heard them say a million times over, that you've probably heard them talk about in different podcasts, where we're saying, like, how did you get started? Where, what are you building towards? All the things. We're going to take a very specific part of their journeys and dissect them because I think that is the part of mentorship that is missing the most, the part of podcast that is missing the most, where yeah, we get to see the shiny objects of what you've built and the huge accomplishments, and we get to celebrate you for that. But also, what did it really take to get there? Like, give me the nitty gritty. That's what I want to see. You went from a 0K launch to a 40K launch. Cool. Don't just tell me you had like a 30-day plan and you sent 5 emails. Like, really, what did it actually take? What was the mess behind the 0K launch? Break that down for me and then give me the comparison. That is what we're going to be diving into in these episodes where we are calling on our fellow CEOs and really getting specific. You sold out an event with 200 people. Cool. What did it actually take to get there? How many events did you have beforehand where you had only 5 people show up, only 20 people show up, and made only $300 at that first event, right? We're going to take all of the juicy details and just absolutely spill the tea. And the goal of this podcast is to make sure that you are walking away with the most empowering tactical next steps. So you know exactly how you need to be showing up, where you should be showing up, why you should be showing up. And you're going to be looking at your business so completely different. That is ultimately the goal that I have for all of my clients is I'm not just going to help you. Like, I'm not just going to show you where the next fish is. I want you to think about fishing completely different. I want you to have this completely like revitalized philosophy of what it means to be a woman in business. And I promise you, your perspective on the way that you're operating day to day is going to change. This is not just going to be hype. It is going to be high energy, of course, because we need that, but it is going to give you so many moments where your mind is just going to be like, if you're not watching the video, I'm here doing like some facial gestures where my eyes are just open and my hands are like open wide, and you're going to be mind blown. And again, your perspective is going to shift and you are going to be able to step deeper and deeper into the true leader and authority that you are. That's what this podcast is going to do for you. We're also going to be dropping it every single Tuesday. So you have something early on in the week, and I'm really excited for it. So if you haven't already, add this podcast to your playlist and make sure you're following us. Feel free to give those old episodes a listen and then rate the show. They're going to be completely different episodes than the direction that we're going in today, but know that it's going to be so freaking good. Okay. So after you do that, make sure you're following me on IG. I am Krystal J. That's Krystal with a K. And tell me what you think. My DMs are always open. I love connecting with our fellow women. And if you are looking for more community, join the Harolo community. We have so many fun things on the horizon. We're virtual and in person, so it doesn't matter where you are in the US. Come be a part of the community. And if you're looking for more one-on-one support, then come into my private mentorship. I got you, girl. Until then, just keep being the fabulous human that you are. And let's have some fun. And I don't know how to end this podcast. Where is the recording stop button? I found it. We give ourselves grace. That's also what we do as founders. All right. See you next week.